Have you ever wondered what the cause of oppositional defiance disorder is? If
Yes.
you look that up online, you're going to find that some sort of trauma is the cause of oppositional defiant disorder. And if you're anything like me, you're going to be like, well, what kind of trauma? Like my kids were spoiled rotten, right, Tom? I mean, you walked into their bedrooms and there was not just a little bit of things. There was a Toys R Us in each bedroom. My kids all had Nintendo DSs, karaoke machines, computers, a television in each room. And I thought it was my job to give my kids a great life and that I was to provide for them. So I worked my tail off and as a single mom of 4 kids bought them a 7-bedroom house so they could each have their own bedroom. So, like, what kind of trauma are we talking about here to cause oppositional defiant disorder? My youngest son, at the age of 7, was already kicked out of 2 schools, 3 classrooms, and placed in a classroom with a big glass room in the back so they could drag him there and he could scream without disturbing the rest of the class after he threw his desk across the classroom and wiped out a few chairs and they had to evacuate the classroom as he jumped on a desk and went from desk to desk to desk to desk out the door and locked himself in the bathroom. So, before we get too much into the content, and as we are waiting for people to populate our event this evening, I want to tell you that I'm speaking to you from experience. I'm speaking to you as a mother, from a mother to a mother or to a father who I know beyond a shadow of a doubt loves their kids so much. I know the dream that you had before you became a parent because I had it too. And everything that we're going to talk to you about tonight, I did. So we're not here sitting on some sort of throne, holier than thou. We're better than you. We're not better than you. The information that we have learned and discovered through our lifetime has brought forward to light what causes, truthfully, oppositional defiant disorder and what you need to do to get to the other side. I always say, get to the other side, the joyful side, the bright side, the loving side, the harmonious side of parenting. And yes, it does exist. We've been led to believe that terrible twos are just a normal part of childhood, and they are not. We've been led to believe that children are just there in our lives to test our boundaries and go out of our way to cause annoyance or go out of their way to wreck things in our lives. Like, have you ever heard of that before? And we're here to say, no, that's not true. We're Bonnie and
Thomas Leota.
we are the founders of Creating Champions for Life, and I bring to the table over 30 years of the study and application of leadership and personal development. When I met Thomas, I was a single mom with 4 kids, all experiencing mental health and behavior disorders. And I myself was a personal development speaker, inspirational speaker. I had a team of over 10,000 people in my organization all over the world. And I was listening to the psychologists, the pediatricians, the teachers, like reading all the books, and ended up in fetal position in my bathroom wondering what the heck has gone wrong. And Tom, just take a minute as we're waiting for people to join us to introduce yourself.
Well, I've had the privilege and honor to always coach whatever I excelled at. And it started off with Little League Baseball in high school, coached the little kids that no parents wanted to basically coach because they were a little motley crew team. Got into coaching into Nintendo video game company, 144,000 kids around the world. But more importantly, I got involved with martial arts, personal development that goes back thousands of years. These are things that are going to be outside the textbooks of so-called parenting. And when you know the roots of personal development, then I got a chance to actually coach thousands of kids in a martial art program that was nominated and inducted in the Martial Art Hall of Fame for most creative after school program. So one of the things about sports or martial arts is that there is no fluff. There is no hype. There is no hopium. It's either it works or it doesn't. It's practical applications of things that work, and you never practice things that don't work. And that's what keeps our competitive spirit to be in competition with ourselves, to do better than who we used to be. And I want to give you permission to play the I didn't know card, because now could be a starting point for you. This is where you're at, and you can do better than what you did before. Because if it was just knowing something that was missing and you could add it to your parenting toolbox, you know, find the holes in a parenting bucket and plug them,
Mhm.
and things could get better. What if it could be that simple? But just like everything in life, walking, riding a bike, driving a car, it's never easy, but it'll be extremely simple. So we and you must have a desire for more, and we call that a goal. Everything else will fall into place because creating champions for life is that plan.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. You're like in sports and martial arts and wrestling, and even with Nintendo playing a video game, like everything just is. There are certain universal truths. And in this group, harmonious parenting, time tested principles for cooperation, we're going to teach you principles. And this is not bias. This is not opinion. This is not based on theory. And what I love so much is that when you study leadership and you study business or success, there are also laws that prevail, kind of like gravity would be like an earthly truth, because it doesn't matter whether you know about it or not. If you walk off the edge of a building or a cliff, you're going to fall. It works every single time. And there are universal truths that work with our children as well. It's just that nobody has ever actually brought these principles into parenting before. So we're going to say some things to you tonight that are going to make you go, really? But that's what I've always learned. And that's what I read in this book and that book. But those books are based on, I want to show you this. Those books are based on this knowledge, baby and child care from Dr. Spock. And this is 900 pages of theory. This is when they went from beating children to using timeouts and takeaways. And I always like to say they went from physically harming children to emotionally harming children. Like we always believe, and if you believe this to be true, that we're supposed to follow our kids around, catch them doing something inappropriate, and then correct them in the moment. Put in the comments if you've ever heard that before. And so in the olden days, like all the way through the medieval times, like 6-year-olds were working full-time jobs. And if you looked at the person that you were working for wrong, they'd take you out behind the barn and beat you. The same thing was true back in the 1920s. The parents would send the kid out into the backyard to grab the switch and they would beat the kid. Nowadays, after this came out in 1946, we started to punish our kids or discipline our kids in a more less physical way, but we would like take their favorite thing away and then lecture them as to why we were taking their favorite thing away, right? And so it's just kind of went from physical control to like mental or emotional control. All right, I want to look at the comments as they come in here. Well, I got a yep from a Facebook user. You know, in the actual event, you can go to streamyard.com/Facebook and register your account, and then we can see your name. Hi Holly, hi Kelly, hi Rachel, Rhiannon, Angela. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Angela says, definitely, I've heard that. Timeouts, give something and then take it away is absolutely crazy. It's heartbreaking for the kids. So we're talking tonight, what causes oppositional defiant disorder? We're talking about the hidden trauma, because we were talking about this earlier, like physical abuse could be trauma, a parent dying could be trauma, um, being abandoned as a child. Steve Jobs, his mother gave him up for adoption and then found out that the parents that were going to adopt him didn't have a college diploma. And so she didn't let them adopt him. It was like a really hard beginning for Steve Jobs, as we're talking about trauma and what causes oppositional defiant disorder, because he would have been oppositional defiant disorder. But we're not talking about that kind of trauma, are we? Because if you're here and you've got a child with oppositional defiant disorder and you're like me going, my child never experienced any kind of trauma, we're talking about 5 hidden traumas that most of us do every single day because we're being taught to do this in mainstream parenting. Number 1 is we want to protect them.
So we tell them no when you see them reaching out for things, doing things on their own little curious George, just being able to interact with the world. And I understand that we want to use it as like a safety feature. Got to protect them. No, 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 no. Don't put that in your mouth. No, 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 no. Don't touch that. You'll get burned. I get where it comes from. But what does it really do? Nothing on the positive side. Should be very rhetorical for us, is that we didn't sign up for this, but these are going to be the triggers. And if we can figure out what caused it, then we can reverse it. And I want to just disclaim this. We don't have to agree on anything here today. But there is something that we must agree on, is that there's something that's causing this.
Mm.
And if we don't know what's causing it, that's where the big parenting mystery is. So we're going to bring awareness to what is causing it. And one of them could be simply as telling your child no the first time you see him doing something you don't like.
Yes, and that starts usually around the age 6 months when you put them in the high chair and they take their bowl of food or the toy that you hand them and they throw it off the chair, and we tell them, no, we don't do that. Now, just think about this, okay? When you've got a little human being, and we're going to take the word kid off the table right now. We're going to start looking at our children like they're little tiny human beings who have thoughts, feelings, emotions, who come into this world with no idea how the world works. They don't know that if they touch that candle, they're going to burn themselves, or if they touch the stove, they're going to hurt themselves, or if they bang a glass on the glass table, they're going to break something and ruin something. They have no concept or idea of how the world works, and that's what they need you for. So I want you to imagine just being a little being, having a larger being following you around going, nope, we don't do that. Nope, that's bad. Nope, I won't let you hit. And put in the comments how you're going to feel about that and how long would it take for you to develop some anger. And if you stick with us all the way to the end, we're going to teach you or show you what we should be doing to reverse oppositional defiant disorder or prevent it in the first place. So, number 2, we want the best for them.
But it has to be done a certain way.
Yeah, well, we want the best for them. We want them to be dressed nicely. We want the best for them. So we want them to be healthy. And Rachel, we're going to talk about this. We're going to bring Rachel on here a little bit later because I pre-framed with her if she wanted to come talk with me. And she has a question about her 14-year-old wanting to have a vape pen. Okay. And so we're going to take her through these universal truths here tonight. We're going to talk through that scenario because whether you have a toddler who's banging glass on a glass table or a 14-year-old who wants to break the law or do something that is inappropriate or you deem to be unhealthy, we're going to take you through that and talk about it. No matter what age, the principles will prevail. Okay. So we want the best for them is trauma number 2, because as we want the best for them, we are going to deem that if they do something we don't like, that's not the best for them, well, then we're going to judge them somehow. So wanting the best for them brings along judgment. Wanting the best for them brings along competing with the Joneses, right? And yes, wanting them to be a certain way. So
Right.
do you have anything to say?
Yeah, before you get to number 3 here, when we're talking about doing it a certain way, let's look at something that's universal truth. We have a thumbprint that no two of these match around the world. And if it did, it should have been in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I haven't found it yet. And so when we look at doing things in a certain way, like creating ice, the formula is the same: tray, water, freezer. But there's a unique factor that maybe the tray is just a little bit different than yours, or maybe I prefer tap water versus pure filtered water, or I like to put it in this level of the freezer versus the bottom. These certain subtle verities that allow us to have independence that we're going to lead into. So imprinting is very key for the note takers out there. Can you take your thumbprint and imprint it on theirs? If you can, that's called conformity. And if there was no such thing as independence, the opposite of conformity, That could be something that's causing it, just to bring awareness. We must be able to let go and let God happen, show them the way, but don't force them to be a certain way. And I trust that that hits heart for somebody here tonight, that maybe that's what you needed to hear to get a little shock and awe.
Yeah, Rachel, expecting them to be mini versions of us will never work. And you're experiencing that right now, aren't you, with your teenagers? You see, because a 2 year old or a 5 year old, you can tell them what to wear and when to wear it, and you can put them in a timeout when they don't comply. But pretty soon that 2 year old or 5 year old or 8 year old is going to be 14, 16, 17, and it's not going to be so easy. So we've got to wrap our heads around what will work all the time are universal principles. So, number 3 for the note takers. And also, thank you so much, Angela and Rachel, for commenting when I asked the question. Because here's the thing, you guys, this needs to be interactive. You're going to get out of this as much as you put into it. So, when we ask questions, we feed off of your energy and we'll make this a lot more interesting. So, please do feel free to comment and participate with us, even if you don't agree. Even if you have a question that you want to have answered, we encourage you to communicate with us. All right. So, number 3 is we want to give them an easier life.
Boring. Now, easier life. Let me just ask you this. How many times can you cut a corner before the square becomes a circle? See, an easier life is not how it's designed, because if you do an easier life for your offspring and your offspring do it easier life for their offspring, pretty soon we kind of lose the zest for life. And what we're end up doing is that somewhere there was a campaign, and I think this is really going to hit in the hearts of moms. Right, Rhiannon, 4 times. And then it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Now our square is a circle. And if we keep making it easier life, the circle gets smaller. And pretty soon you got this little dot. You don't even know what our vision of our life is anymore. And we have a lost teenage society. But when we think about overcompensating, doing for them, there was this campaign that, and I think Bonnie's going to add the ticker, but there's a book, Raising Healthy Cooperative Kids, that talks about the history of how you got here, if you want to know how they did it. But it was a campaign that your self-worth, mom, is based on how much you do for your little genius offsprings. And that's overcompensating. There's not one animal in the animal kingdom other than man that does this. And what if that is a major cause of oppositional defiant disorder, is overcompensating, doing for them? Yes, I understand the morals and ethics and all that about it. Yes, it makes you feel good in a moment. But why is it that so many moms feel empty right here in the middle chakra, better known as your heart?
Well, I mean, how many reels or videos do we need to see of the mom going, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. I'm the driver, I'm the chauffeur, I'm the maid, I'm the referee. I do all this, I do that, I do this, I do that. The kids mess everything up. The kids go to bed. Mom comes along, cleans it all up. Mom, stop it. Stop it. Stop. I'm going to give you permission right now. It is so freeing when you actually get this, that your children crave responsibility. They don't want to be raised in some sort of fantasy la land. So for you, those of you that are just joining us, we're talking about the cause of oppositional defiant disorder, the trauma that causes ODD. Now, we think of some sort of massive big trauma out there, like a parent passing away or a sickness. The child was born with some sort of sickness and it caused us to overcompensate for them, and they ended up with some sort of oppositional defiant disorder or mental health disorder. But we're here to say that there are 5 hidden traumas that most of us do every day as a parent. And I'm looking for some interaction in the comments. If you have questions about this, or if you agree, or if you don't agree, if you do this, if you want to know what to do instead, share in the comments how you feel about this. Number 1 was, we protect them rather than show them how the world works. And in one of the James Allen's books I'm reading right now, he talks about a little boy who, back 100 years ago, when they used candlelight for electricity, the mom had a candle as she read him a book or a bedtime story. And every night he whined and cried to touch the candle, to play with the candle. And she always said, "No, we don't play with the candle. Obviously, it's dangerous, right?" Well, one night she got distracted just for a few seconds, and he never ever asked to play with the candle ever again. He knew very well the repercussions, the life lessons of what it would mean to play with that candle. He learned what fire was, he learned what a burn was, and he learned his lesson. Now, isn't life all about learning lessons? So we protect them. We want the best for them. So we dress them a certain way, and we got their haircut a certain way, and we want them to walk a certain way. Number 3 is we want to give them an easier life. So we work our butts off to give our kids an easy life, but they never asked for an easy life. These are underlying hidden traumas. Number 4, I want to give my child the life I always wanted. And this was me. Tell me if it was you too. I got yelled at a lot when I was a child. I was the one that would go to school and all my friends were wearing Roots sweatshirts and I never got one. So I wanted to give my kids a richer life and give them all the things that I always dreamed of.
Right. And I'd really like to know who this genius is. You're under Facebook user, but you just chimed in and love to know your name if you're open to share. But you said, take the easy road and your life will be hard. Take the hard road and life will be easier. I think you're onto something there, genius. And you're bringing a lot of value to here tonight. And I appreciate you reaching out and sharing. Take this for the note takers here today. Us as offspring when we were young and our children's offspring, we're not asking for an easier life, right? Don't ask for an easier life, but ask for the missing life skills to move more elegantly through life. And that's the game changer. Our ODD is the internal drive inside of us and saying, look, hey, I came here from the spiritual world in the physical form, and I was promised that you would show me the certain set of life skills that every animal in the animal kingdom follows. No exception except man, because we were given free will. False or true? And see, we don't want you to tell us no or have us do a certain way with imprinting or overcompensate because you need to feed off of making it I look good to you. And we got 2 more to cover. But we're really asking for those missing life skills. If you want to know how you were duped, once again, that book is in the Creating Champions for Life app. It's free for you to get. And let's keep going with number 4, Bonnie.
Yes. So, well, number 4 was give them a life I always wanted. Is there anybody else here that wanted to give your kids a life? Take them to Disneyland, take them on family vacations, buy them all the designer clothes, get them all the little gadgets, buy them a cell phone because everybody else has a cell phone, or buy them like a really nice bike every year because everybody else has a really nice bike. If that's you, I want to hear from you. Who is it? What does it say? Holly says, I agree. I would love help in this area. Okay, well, Holly, we got a live training in the Gold Star membership coming up real soon. Make sure that's on your calendar and come. Facebook user, I finally realized through Creating Champions for Life, bubble wrap doesn't build resilience. No, it sure doesn't. Rachel, life isn't going to continue to make it easy for them when they're not at home. Mind-boggling how crippling this is. Absolutely true. Rhiannon, thank you for agreeing. Okay, yes, we wanted to give them the things to make them happy. Yes. Eve on Facebook. That's all. Okay. All right. So I was pointing out earlier that all of today's parenting come from this book right here, based on theory of what might work better than beating children. And what we've done is we've taken off the physical beatings of children for children who roll their eyes or be disrespectful or don't comply, to more emotional or mental kind of pain. We take things away. We drag them into a timeout. We yell at them. We lecture them. We tell them why the things that they're doing are wrong. And these are all hidden traumas that are causing our kids to rebel from the inside out. And I just want to picture you. I don't know. I want you to picture a kid or a human being put into a box. And every time the human being goes to reach out to do something that's magical, that's new to them, that they've never done before, and they go to reach out and they get their hand slapped, get back in the box.
Bam.
But I want to touch that. Get back in the
No.
box. But I want to do that. Get back in
You're
the
not
box.
doing it
But
the
I
right
want to
way.
I want to say shit. We don't swear. Get back in that box.
Do what
It's
I do,
wrong.
don't do
It's
as I
bad.
say.
We don't do that. We take things away. Can you see how harmful this can be to a spiritual being who's just navigating the world to see what it's like? What if they weren't going out of their way to test boundaries with you, or to tick you off, or to be annoying? Or, as ODD children are being accused of, is that they on purposely cause harm. They on purposely act in disrespect to authority. They on purposely are angry beings. We've heard this before because that is the definition of oppositional defiant disorder. But I want to tell you what we are teaching you here tonight are principles. So it's like whether we know it or not, or like it or not, or believe it or not, these are universal truth. They're called principles. And these are the books that I studied. So Tom was learning martial arts, getting his 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo, and working with thousands of kids in his after school program. And I was learning the laws of success because I grew up in a lot of poverty, and I had made a decision that I was going to change my life. And do you know that to create success in business or in any endeavor, that there are certain laws or principles that go along with that? Like, you just don't open up a business one day and go, okay, business is open. Now what are we going to do? No, you have a goal. You have yearly projections. You create master plans. Anytime that you want to have a wedding or a party or anything, you have a goal. You create a master plan. You follow that plan. But somehow, when it came to parenting our children, we thought, well, we'll follow them around and correct them when they do something wrong, with timeouts and takeaways and lectures. And as I think Dr. Becky, she's like, you must practice authoritative control. So, excuse me, I want to talk about control, because isn't protecting them, saying yes or no, wanting the best for them, wanting them to be a certain way, giving them an easier life, overcompensating, stepping in, doing things for them, giving them the life I always wanted, planning the trips, the vacations, buying their clothes, giving them things they never asked for? Isn't all of this just a gentle form of control? And then when they don't conform, we label them, we medicate them, we put them in some sort of treatment center because they refuse to conform. Think about this. I'd be looking forward to reading your comments in the comments. So the last one is, we believe that we have dependence, that our children are dependent on us, and we must
Dictate. What part of dictatorship has got written all over it when you tell them what to do, what to wear, what to be?
what not to do, what not to wear, what not to be.
You see, if heaven and on earth starts from inside and it expands, then someone's controlling our expansion. It's called independence. You know, when you open up the tax form, it says, well, how many dependents do you have? 0. I have independence in training. You see, a mindset of what you're running as a program could make the difference between creating a snack and someone to go out and procreate, duplicate. And there's that small little window that we have them. And if we told our kids, no, 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 a staggering 400 times to yes, which is once. And as soon as they start to activate that monkey see, monkey do, and then you say, come on, get over here. And they go, no. And they use that same tonality, that same passion, that same purpose that they learned from who? self-incriminating, self-incriminating. Yes, it was me. I didn't mean to do it, but that's how I was raised. And then we say, don't you talk to me like that. What kind of crazy world would that make sense to you that you would want to get the hell out? And you're getting out of that box once again, like Bonnie gave a great visual of getting out of the box, and you're being forced back in. What if oppositional defiant disorder was nothing more than a way to label the ones that we can't control? The true little genius spirit that showed up here in physical form with this amazing little gift that only you can produce and show with the world, if there was any truth to that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We all have a special gift. We've all known it since we were born. And like Wayne Dyer said, we've all been born magnificent, perfect in every single way, but we've been conditioned into mediocrity, hence control.
That's what I used to talk about when I did my speech. I love Wayne Dyer because I love universal principles. All right. So I wanted to share this book. Now, if you want to come on here and talk some things through with us tonight, I want you to say me in the comments here and I will get you a link to join. Rachel, I have sent you a link in the Facebook Messenger. So go find that and come join us in the room here tonight so we can talk some things through. Now, Rachel has a 14-year-old son who happens to be in jail right now because he chose to break the law and he chose to rebel a little bit. So we're working with Rachel to go, okay, he's in jail. Now, how do we actually bring him back to the other side? How do we breathe life into this little ODDer? We've got some clients who obviously have younger kids, 5 or 6, who had been diagnosed with ODD and sent to special schools. We have some who were one day away from a treatment center. Now, one common thread that we get when we talk to parents quite often, we do discovery sessions. And if you want to talk to us, you got an email today with a link in there to book a little block of time with me. It doesn't mean anything other than we're going to discover where you're at and where you want to go. But an underlying belief that we have, or a very common statement that comes to us is, my son doesn't want to be controlled. My son wants to control everything. My daughter wants to control everything. And don't you want to be in control of your own life? Don't you want to be in control of what you wear and what you do for work and how you spend your days and what time you get up in the morning? Wouldn't you like to be in control of your own life? Or would you like somebody who supplied everything under the sun for free and then controlled every move you make, who you are, who you date, who you marry, how many kids you have? I'd be really interested to read your thoughts in the comments as we wait. Does anybody else want to come and hang out with us for a little bit? And I want to read this because this is The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. And this chapter is...
Before you jump into there, Bonnie, there is just a love
self-confidence
that overflows from me. The first time I heard Bonnie share this with kids, when she was learning to speak, kid, come from the dark side, have hell on earth and start creating heaven on earth. And when she would ask kids exactly that.
Oh, yes.
With a resounding as close to 100% as 99.999989%, what did every single child answer when you asked them those questions, Bonnie?
Well, I almost think it's rhetorical. Like, I think that the audience probably knows what the kids answered, but every single time I ask a kid this question, I still ask the kid this question. They always say, I want to be in control. I'll provide all my own privileges, but let me be in control of my own life. And you guys, that's normal because your kids, they're human beings. And we're going to get into the solutions here of what we need to do to turn oppositional defiant disorder around. And we're going to talk it through here with Rachel. And if anyone else would like to participate with us, but I wanted to read this because isn't what we've read here? I want to protect them, give them an easy life, give them the best things, give them the life I always wanted. I want them to be dependent on me. I want to be like in control of them. Like I want them to be dependent on me. And this is just so powerful. It says one of the chief disadvantages of inherited wealth. Now, back in the day, back in 1920s, you needed to have wealth in order to give your kids an easy life. Now in 2024, we all give our kids an easy life because we happen to live in a very wealthy society. All right. But one of the disadvantages of inherited wealth is the fact that it too often leads to inaction and loss of self-confidence. Do you ever wonder why your kids are lacking self-confidence? And it is the 5 things that we've just shared with you here this evening. Doing too much for our kids that they should be doing themselves. Some 12 years ago, a baby was born in the city of Washington. Its inheritance was said to be around $100 million. When this baby was taken for an airing in its carriage, it was surrounded by nurses and assistant nurses and detectives and other servants whose duty was to see that no harm befell it, to protect this little guy. As the years passed by, the same vigilance was kept up. The child did not have to dress himself. He had servants who did that, servants who watched over him while he slept and while he was at play. Now, we moms, we are our children's servants. Yes? We cook for them, we clean for them, we do their laundry, we protect them. We are doing all that the servants did here. He was not permitted to do anything that a servant could do for him. He had grown to the age of 10 years. One day he was playing in the backyard and noticed that the back gate had been left open. In all of his life, he had never been outside of that gate alone, and naturally, that was just the thing he wished to do. Oh my gosh. Is this like making the hair on your arm stand up? Whatever it is that you don't allow your child to do, well, I limit their screen time. Well, I don't let my kids have cell phones. Well, like if you're in control, like I don't let my kids go to the friend's house for sleepovers. I don't let my kids vape. Rachel, we're going to talk about this in a minute. I won't let my kids vape. They're good. The minute you turn your back, they're going to be doing the things that you don't want them to do. How much does this make sense? Comment, comment, comment. All right. During a moment when the servants were not looking, he dashed out at the gate and was run down and killed by an automobile before he reached the middle of the street. All right. So is it our job to protect our kids or to prepare them for life? Rachel, come back. I'm just about to put you on the thing. Okay. Unless she changed her mind and she's like, I don't want to talk about vaping anymore. So, there. Okay, she just got kicked out of the room. She's coming back, okay? There's a lot to be said. Switch from parenting books to these books, The Law of Success. Well, except for the Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids book or the Learn to Speak Kid book, because we teach principles in there. Rhiannon says, prepare them for life. Angela says, it just seems so obvious now. But before meeting you both, I never even thought about these things. Holly says, prepare them for life, right? So Justin and Rachel, are you together?
We are.
We are.
Okay, I can barely see you. What if you are you on your phone or your computer?
We're on the phone. We just happen to have a window behind us. Hang on.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, what if you turn the other way away from the window, and that would help us see you a lot. Okay, so hi, guys.
We got to congratulate you. Made it here, and we went from a silhouette to you.
Hey, certain universal truths, right? Like you can't change it just because you want it to change. Okay, guys, I'm so excited about this conversation. Do you want to just take 30 seconds and introduce yourselves? And this was on a whim. We did not really plan, or we haven't scripted anything. We're just going to talk your situation through here this evening. Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, I am Rachel, and this is my husband, Justin.
Hi, everyone.
And we are in Creating Champions for Life, and we are pretty new and super excited to be here.
Awesome. And Rachel, you had asked a question this morning. You want to talk through some things that your son's asking for. Now, this is a 14-year-old, and 1, 2, 3, 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, no matter how old your kid is, whether they're 2, 5, 14, or 22 living in the basement. All right. We're talking about a 14-year-old. So I don't know if you've had some aha moments just with tonight's talk, but share with me what the question was and what you want to talk through tonight. And we're going to talk principle only.
Okay. So Clayton was wanting to vape, says that he has been addicted to cigarettes and that he needs a non-nicotine vape in order to quit smoking and help him deal with his frustrations. It sounds funny, doesn't
it's
it?
funny, right? Okay, it's funny. Kids are funny.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that, you guys?
Well, I mean, one, I don't think that he's addicted to cigarettes, and two, obviously, non-nicotine vape or otherwise is unhealthy, and it's not something we want him to do.
Okay.
But
all the cool kids are doing it.
well, and Bonnie said, the second you tell them no, they're going to be doing it behind your back, and literally, he was caught with a vape at school. So
Now, real quick, when we tell them no, do you know what game the little genius offsprings play? Because we played it like a champ. We can't deny it. It's the old classic cops and
robbers.
robbers. Right. This is called, all right, the little genius inside goes, oh, I get this game. I'm supposed to do it when you don't see me, hear me, smell, taste, or touch. The 5 senses. How well is he doing?
Well, yeah.
He's getting away with it.
Right. Now, when you find it, you got to come in guns a-blazing. Do you congratulate him like, hey, good job? You're burning the opposite end of your candle, right? Remember when we're born, we tell them the truth. You got 120 years, and every time you vape, it bends off the back end of the candle. So what that ends up doing is by the time you're 40, you look like you're 90, and you'll be passed away when you're 50. If we always speak the truth, we never tell them, you can't do this. But let me get this straight. You got 120 years, and you want to whack off 5 years every month on the back end, you're doing a great job. So you'll be done when you're probably 39. I'm just curious. Could I ask you a question? Is that your goal, to celebrate Happy Transition Day? The adults call it death at 39. Because if so, you're right on track.
Okay. Well, I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question to everybody who's watching, and especially you guys. Do you think that he is doing this or wanting to do this to tick you off?
No.
Do you think that him wanting to vape has anything to do with you at all?
No.
It's his own internal desire who thinks it's cool to do such a thing. Do you think that he has any idea of the repercussions of vaping long term?
No.
And if you were to say to him, so do you want to die 20 years early, that's going to mean anything to him at all?
No.
Because when, like, Justin, does it mean anything to you when somebody tells you you shouldn't smoke?
No, not really.
And do you smoke?
I do.
Okay. So, all right, we're going somewhere with this, okay?
Monkey see, monkey do?
Monkey see, monkey do. What's the difference between your 14-year-old and you guys?
Well, one, he's underage.
Yeah, well, he's underage, yeah. What else?
We don't think the same.
Well, you don't think the same. What else? Who buys the cigarettes?
Oh, yeah, we get paychecks and we can buy our own cigarettes.
Okay, so if your job, we want to protect them, want the best for them, want them to be healthy, right? We don't want anything to happen to them. We want them to have an easier life than we had. We want them to have the life I always wanted. Gosh, I wish I hadn't quit smoking because it's so hard to stop. And I'm an ex-smoker, so I understand it's hard to stop, but it is possible. So all of these things that we've talked about tonight relate to this conversation, doesn't it?
It does.
And you can see how doing these 5 things would cause underlying trauma to a little spiritual being who just wants to be like who?
Us.
Just wants to be like you. So he wants to be independent or dependent.
Independent.
He wants to be independent. So last week we talked about, do you remember what we talked about, Rachel? Oh, you guys weren't here. you guys were dealing with a crisis at home. Okay. Last week we talked about validate some more. So let's role play this, Tom. Tell me you want to vape.
Guess what I'm doing at school with the cool kids, Mom?
What's that?
Vaping. My favorite flavor is pineapple.
Ooh, I was just gonna ask, do you have a favorite flavor?
Oh, you bet I do.
And so who introduced that?
Well, the captain on the football team, we had our own little huddle, and he was like, check this out. And I want to be cool like him. So I actually did it. And man, did it taste weird at first, but he was like, come on, wuss, you got this. And then I'm like, well, I ain't going to be a wuss. And I coughed it right through. And now I can take a big inhale and blow out the biggest puff of smoke. And you know who's the cool kid now? This guy.
Wow. How do you feel about yourself?
Oh, man. Seems cool. And this is
okay.
Me.
Now let's stop. So I could go on like this for 20 minutes, and he can probably talk about how cool he is for 20 minutes. Do you sense or feel any judgment coming from me?
No.
Total 100%. Now, does this mean that I'm going to be like, oh, cool, I want you to be cool. Let me run to the store and get you a vape pen?
No.
Because do I owe him a vape?
No.
Do you owe Clayton a vape?
No.
What do you owe Clayton?
Basic food, clothes, and shelter.
And?
MLS.
And? What do you? I want a vape, Mom. All the cool kids have a vape.
I owe him validation.
Validation and?
All right, Bonnie, you got me. What?
The missing life skills on how to acquire a vape. He wants to be like who?
Like us.
And so what are you guys doing that he's not doing?
Working,
making your own money, paying your bill. Do you pay your bills, or do your mommy and daddy come pay your bills for you?
We do.
Now, who takes care of you when you're sick?
Who pays the medical bills?
You take care of yourself when you're sick, yes?
Yes.
You have to suck it up and be, man, I missed out 3 days of work. That was a big hit.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see the razor's edge difference to prepare versus protect, which is called the inevitable? You sure can do all these things. But when you get sick and you can't take care of yourself, you got that covered yet? Because we're busy. You don't get the best of both worlds here. This is not called double dipping. And we owe them the truth, false or true.
True.
Can you sell me on the idea why we would ever keep the truth to somebody who picked us to show us how the world works, like we do in the animal kingdom, called preparing? Any reason?
No.
Where did it come from then? Well, hold up that book again.
What, this one?
Yeah.
This stupid book?
Came from right here as a campaign to make billions of dollars with a B off of your offspring.
Dr. Spock. Look up Dr. Spock on Google. You'll see a couple toddlers in diapers crawling all over his desk and him giggling. He did not raise kids. Like, he never worked with kids. Dr. Spock's 22-year-old grandson committed suicide. In 2024, the number 1 cause of death for our teenagers is fentanyl. The number 2 cause of death for our teenagers is suicide. So the guy who invented positive discipline, what we call authoritative discipline, everything that we're talking about tonight, doing for, overcompensating, protecting them, controlling them. The guy who invented that, his grandson committed suicide. Did you think there's like a correlation to that and to what's going on in today's world? Does it
Yeah.
seem kind of like too coincidental when you actually know? So when we say that there was a, what do you call it? An agenda? Okay. Oppositional defiant disorder is a $26 billion industry. It's an industry. We want to know what is oppositional defiant disorder. It's an industry, and your kids are in the front line of fire in the war on our children today. So when we get this, so what? He's asking for a vape pen. You don't owe him a vape pen. You owe him the life skills on how to get a vape pen
Yeah,
without
love for you to
judgment.
have
He
one.
gets to live his life. I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone. Which means you want to pay your own bills. You want to get a job. You want to pay rent. You want to take care of the yard, take care of the house, buy your own groceries, take care of your own medical bills, take care of your own legal bills. You want to completely 100% self-sufficient, take care of yourself. And you want to go down to the store and buy that vape pen. Well, you go for it. But I don't in any way, form or fashion, owe you a vape pen. Do I owe you a vape pen, Clayton?
Of course not.
Well, there you go. I'd love to help you get a vape pen. Let's go. Let's go get a job. You want to work a full-time job and go to school and pay your bills? That's how you get a vape pen. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because our job is to teach them sowing and reaping. You reap what you sow, guys. These are universal truths that we're keeping hidden from our children. The law of cause and effect. Everything you do has an effect. And parents, who is the older one in the home?
We are.
Who decided to have children in the first place?
We did.
Who is the cause of all of the disorder in the home?
We are.
That's the magic.
Which is so exciting because if there's nothing wrong with your kids, if they don't have holes in their brain, then we don't need to send them to a treatment center and pop them full of pills to get them to not want a vape pen. That doesn't even make sense. Then we've got to teach them everything that they do has an effect. Every move they make, every way that they treat their teachers, whether they go to school or don't go to school, whether they follow the law or don't follow the law, whether they hit their sibling or don't hit their sibling, every cause has an effect. And if we're holding that back and we're just going, we don't hit, we don't vape, we don't do that, that's bad, that's wrong, then we're lying to our kids. And oppositional defiant disorder is nothing more than a spirit who doesn't not want to be lied to, a spirit who wants the truth, a spirit who wants to grow, who wants to be, do, and have everything you be, do, and have.
So can I ask you two amazing big kid trusted advisors in training? When we first introduced to knowing our role as a parent, things were a big aha moment, false or true?
True.
One prime directive. And we have thousands of examples to monkey see, monkey do in our animal kingdom. So it's not a theory. It's the reality, false or true?
True.
Now, we've also learned a jingle jangle of what do I do when I bite off more than I can chew? A, choke and die. B, choke, spit it out and have a good story. Or C, we choke, spit it out, but then we bite the bite, bite the bite, bite the bite until we can chew.
Yes.
And so what we do is we look at our 14-year-old that is physically 14 times rodeo around the sun. But what if he's still mentally 2? And we started off with those little boxes. From 0 to 2, they should know these life skills. And let's just pick a couple. Tie your shoes, wipe your butt. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Then we get into the 2 to 4 box. Everything you take out has a life cycle. Take it out, play with it, clean it, put it back to sleep. Then we go to the 5 to 8, the 9 to 12, the 13 to 17. We have a longer duration than all the animals in the animal kingdom with their offspring. False or true?
True.
I'm not saying the humans are slower, but we just take a little longer to prepare to leave out of the nest. Now, is it ever too late? And the answer is no.
Nope.
So he's 14 physically. He's mentally, we got to go all the way back, because principle 2 talks about parents' brain versus kids' brain. Can he see the world like us?
No.
We have to go back to his level. So we need to downshift to first gear and start in that 0 to 2 box and baby step up. And that's part of the healing, uniting, and empowerment process. So with that being said,
Do you have any questions?
Comments, observations.
Observations.
No, everything you guys say always makes perfect sense. Just wish it was there without you having to tell me, but that's why y'all are here.
That's why we're here. And I'm so grateful for you finding me on TikTok, a little video that brought you here, that got you in the program. And for everybody, Clayton was already in jail when they found us. It wasn't the parenting that put him there. The principals are going to breathe life back into this little spirit who we as adults go, oh my gosh, he's in jail. Life's so terrible. But really, it's just a part of the process. It's just a little stepping stone in this little genius's life. And it's just a little opportunity for you guys to step into your power as parents. And so if you're watching tonight, I want to breathe life into all of you. To you guys, thank you so much for being here. To all of you parents that are watching, I want to breathe life into you and say you have all the power here to help your kids. We can continue to bring our kids to the doctors, to the pediatricians, to the psychologists, to the therapists. But in the long run, they are looking to fix your kid from the outside in. When all that is required is validation and acceptance from the inside out. And when we can wrap our head around this, the simplicity of this, and we can learn to guide our children's behavior with love versus punishment, then we will create brand new, powerful, wonderful, joyful, positive, peaceful, or harmonious results. And that is my promise to you guys, Rachel and Justin. You will have this with Clayton. Once you get this, you can see it.
Yes, we know. We see, sparks right now being taken to 0. He's not used to that. So we knew that was going to happen, and that's okay. We created it, and now we get to uncreate it. So, we definitely see the sparks of him getting excited and proud of himself when, he's ready to cooperate.
Okay, so let's do a quick reframe, right? I see something I don't like. Let's see a little genius embracing his own uniqueness. Bragging time. What's one thing that he's able to do all by himself within this short little window of time? I'll limit it to 3. What's the first one?
So Clayton was able to follow a recipe and cook dinner all by himself. Didn't want any help or instructions.
Whoa. Hang on a second. Get out of the kitchen, Mom or Dad. Stop poking, going, I can do it all by myself. How good did he feel that he could be like, well, if I'm practicing this, I can have vision outside the nest. Because if I can do it here, I can do it there. But if we're always doing it for him, he has no neural pathways of seeing him outside the nest. That's brilliant. What's one more before we go?
So Clayton has been able to keep his room clean, which definitely is not something we're used to. It's usually quite the hazard zone in there.
Now, wait a minute, Justin. You chimed in here with a chuckle. Tell me why this brings a smile and a giggle to your voice.
Because he's a teenage boy and that room stays a mess normally.
Right?
Under the bed and the dresser drawers. I mean, it's
yeah, food in the drawers, you name it.
That's
nothing like some goldfish stuck to your boxer shorts.
I love that so much. You know what? Our 19-year-old had his girlfriend over the other day, and I'm like, "Hey, maybe you guys can work as a team." Now the room is like an 8 out of 10, right? Just to bring it to a 10 out of 10. There's a couple dishes down there. I'm like, "Hey, maybe you guys can work as a team for 5 minutes and get that room back up." And Zach goes, "Well, I'm thinking that Carly doesn't really know how to clean." And Carly's like, "What? You set the timer for 5 minutes," and she went downstairs to clean the room. Anyways, watching a couple teenagers challenge themselves to clean a room is pretty powerful considering what we've all been taught teenagers should be like. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So we're gonna wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. That added to the conversation, pretty powerful. And Holly, we're so glad that you found us too. And Rhiannon, nice to see you. So let's walk us out. Are you guys ready to do the Creating Champions for Life outro?
Sure.
All right.
All right. So until we meet again,
Here's
to
our parenting success.
All right.
Bye,
cheers.
everybody. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye
Now.
for now.